Welcome back to 5 to 9 Motorsports. In today's video, we're going to be going to pick up a new build for the channel. It's an 06 KLX110. It's about 2 hours away. I had my buddy Nick pick it up. He lives close by to where the bike was. So yeah, come along, we'll go pick it up. Little cold start. Like I said in the last video, we are on the way to pick up the KLX110. It's a 2006. I picked it up for 275 bucks, so super cheap, but with super cheap, it's also super clapped. I think from pictures it has a 143 kit, which I kind of didn't want.
At the stop sign, turn right.
I feel like they just never run correctly, but we're gonna get it. I know it needs a petcock. It needs a probably either an output shaft or the teeth. He says that the starter is slipping. He said it catches sometimes. So we'll have to break into that and see what that's about. But yeah, overall, it should be a pretty easy build. We're kind of building this to be a quick flip or just a, you know, cheap pit bike build. But I'll show you guys along the way. We're about 2 hours away. So I'll take a video when I go to pick it up. And with long tube headers and a tunnel, it's probably gonna need a little rev. Alright, so we just pulled up to Nick's house. He picked it up. This thing is pretty pristine. It's pretty much everything needs to be replaced. It's pretty raw. Custom fender.
Custom backwards fender.
Some rear fender.
79 KX80 rear fender.
A Honda pipe.
I think.
This thing's a piece. Here she is, strapped up. We're going down so that
We don't want anybody to see you towing this shit.
this is embarrassing enough. So we're gonna hide it. All right, so after getting this thing back home, tearing down the plastics, seeing what's what, this bike is definitely going to need a lot more than I was originally anticipating. I don't really know how much profit we're going to get from this flip. Regardless, it's going to be a cool process to document for you guys. But with that being said, this thing pretty much, it needs almost everything. I got the carb pulled off of it. I'm assuming it's a Chinese carb. It doesn't look like it's a Mikuni or anything. I'm also not even sure if it's the right diameter for that TB Parts 143 big bore, which I confirmed on the cylinder. But yeah, it's going to need bars. It'll need grips. It'll need a front brake assembly, a front brake cable, throttle housing, throttle tube, throttle cable. These forks, I'm hoping I can clean up the pitting to where I don't have to replace forks. Tires, I'm not really worried about that. I have some spare ones up there from the 110 builds previously. It'll obviously need simple stuff like brakes all around. It needs some rear wheel bearings, some chain adjusters. This thing actually has a Honda. I'm assuming came off of an older carbureted 110. I have a guy that does have a couple of the stock OEM KLX110 pipes laying around, but I also found some Pro Circuit Chinese clones, which, if this is going to be a budget quick flip, I'm not really worried about a fake pipe on this thing, and it will probably be better for the big bore anyway. But again, it'll need a carb boot. It's kind of ripped. It'll need a filter. I'll probably end up replacing the carb, but I'm going to start with getting this thing running. Like I said, it has good compression and it sounds good just turning the motor over. But the one-way bearing, sprag gear, I believe is what it's called, is worn out. I ordered one. It should be here soon, and that's why that starter's slipping. But yeah, I mean, just little stuff. It's going to add up really quickly. It needs a start-stop switch. The gas cap is cracked. Plastics, obviously. Another big one that I was kind of unfortunate to find is a nice pile of JB Weld on the case and the magneto cover. I'm assuming chain came off at some point. Put a hole in the case. I do have a clean OEM side cover coming from eBay. I got it for 30 bucks. I also found an engine case. The brand new ones are about 100 bucks. I might end up doing that just so it's said and done. It's gonna need sprockets, shifter, peg bar was super bent. But yeah, stay tuned. It's gonna be a fun build. Either way, if we make money or not. But yeah, I'm gonna load this thing up and take it over to Josh's after work so that we can mess with it there. We have the room and the bike lift, so I'll catch you guys there.
How many times did that chain fall off of that thing? Look at those bolts.
Oh yeah.
In that hub.
Well, it definitely came off a good time because there's a hole in the case. And there's JB Weld with it being filled up.
Nice.
Alrighty guys, so here's a little update video. I got the side cover pulled off and the old sprag gear pulled out. There's definitely some metal material inside of this area, as you can see. So I do have some of the parts. Some parts are taking longer to come in than others. But I do have the new one-way bearing. I have that chain tensioner I need. These are wheel bearings, throttle tube. Here's a new side cover, well, new used. So I'm probably gonna install that and then just spray some starting fluid in here. We did it the other day before I took any of this apart, and this thing did fire up, so I do want to do that just for video purposes to see. I do have a new manifold, carb boot, carb, filter. I have all that coming on the way. I'm still debating on if I'm going to take this case apart or not. I'm going to see if the crankcase has too much pressure or anything like that, to see if it leaks out of these tubes. If it does, and say I'm going to need new rings and a piston. If I'm going to go that far, I might as well just take this case half off and replace it. But I think we can probably make it work. So we're going to see. Like I said, I got a ton of parts, shifter, just a ton of stuff on the way. The peg bar, I'm going to see if it actually is bent. I just never had a KLX, but it looked like it was like in line with the shifter. But from what I'm seeing online, that's kind of how they look. I have a pipe on the way, bars. I'm debating on whether I should get some forks or not. I found some TB forks with the heavy duty springs and extended rods for 120 bucks on Marketplace. I might just go ahead and do it. And then the rear is gonna have to come up about 1 inch too, but we'll see. But I'll give you guys updates as I go. So we're doing a little valve adjustment, just changed the cam chain tensioner. Gonna try and move, get my feeler gauge in there. Okay. Still not going through yet. All right. A little too much.
A little bit of drag.
Go out a little bit. Oh, that's a good drag right there.
On that right there.
It's pretty tight. That's pretty good. All right, so we adjusted the intake and exhaust valve. Intake was close, it was still tight. Exhaust was about 4 turns away from being correct. Spark plug gap is a little tight. We have a broken bolt here we have to address. But we're gonna fire this thing up and see what it does now that there's a cam chain tensioner, valves are correct. And we'll put a carb on it soon. All right, so I got the new Nibby carb mocked up. Still have the old manifold and intake boot on. The new petcock hasn't come in, but we found this one. It's backwards, so it's not long enough, but we're gonna see if this thing runs.
What's up?
What do we think? Fuel on? See what she does.
See what she do.
She's alive. Oh, she's not alive.
She's dead.
All right, we got the new Nibby carb on there. Got it fire up. It runs pretty darn well. Not bad for a turd.